Welcome back to the week, ladies and gentlemen. As we continue our series celebration of Black History Month, I want to just talk about and talk with some movers and shakers here within our own community. And one of those movers and shakers, as we have seen on the site, on the scene, is none other than former council person Norma Tucker. Norma, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
Well, good morning, Norma. Thank you for coming in and being on the show today. And Norma, I know that everybody knows you as former council person to the city of LaGrange. And I said moving and shaker because you were the first African-American female to be elected to the city council. I'm going to get into that in just a moment or two.
Okay.
But I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
You want me to tell you a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, Norma.
Well,
I know you and I both, we're talking. So
I know me well,
That's right.
I am from LaGrange, born here. We moved away when I was about 3 years old and moved away to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And moved back here just before my 9th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been here, growing up my family. Most of my family is here. From LaGrange,
Okay.
The Bell Line community over on the west side.
Yep,
yeah.
I know it well.
But the beauty of it all is we've lived just about on every side of LaGrange.
Okay. All right, well, very good. I never knew that you all moved to Cincinnati. I didn't know that. Tidbit.
Yeah. We were about, when I was 3, I'm the youngest of 3 girls. And so when I was about 3 years old, we moved away. My parents divorced and we moved up to Cincinnati.
All right, well, very good. And Norma, one of the other things too, because not only were you the first African-American council person here, a councilwoman on the council, but you also have military experience.
Yes.
And as we talk about Black History Month, I want to can you reflect on what it was like for you being in the military, being African-American female?
Wow. I entered the U.S. Navy straight out of high school. LaGrange High School graduate, 1979, class of 1979. And I had made up my mind perhaps since I was 12 years old. Over at Westside Girls Junior High School, I decided the first time I saw the chief in that white Navy uniform, I was like, oh, I'm going Navy.
Really? Okay.
You know? And so, I stayed involved with the Navy recruiters, probably all through middle school and into high school. But when I got to high school, and all my classmates and friends were talking about going off to college, and so I started applying to college and got accepted to college, and I was set for college orientation at Spelman College to start on August 4th. 1979, and on June 25th, I went to what we call the AFES Center on West Peachtree Street in Atlanta, and I raised my right hand and I said, I do solemnly swear to serve and defend. Okay. So I was off to boot camp shortly after that in November because I joined on the delayed entry program in June, and so it wasn't official until the Monday after Thanksgiving, November 25th, 1979, that I left. So it was quite interesting, my service, because I was the first in my family to go into the military.
Moving shaker once again.
You know, and I mean, I had uncles that my mother told me had gone in the military for a short period of time. But in my immediate family, I was the only one to go into the military. So that was quite interesting decision because, as I said, I had my older sister was in college in Atlanta. My middle sister was in college in Kentucky. And so I was thinking, I'm living with a single mom. Let me do something to bring some income into the household. And so I decided I can go to the Navy and make some money instead of spending money.
Smart woman.
And so I did, and I've been blessed, truly blessed by that history. Even when I decided to run for council, I remember the day we did a forum at the senior center, and during that discussion, I mentioned, or someone mentioned my background, my military background. And by the time we finished with the forum, there was a line of military veterans lined up waiting to speak to me and share their stories.
Oh, my.
So that really stays in my heart. Those kinds of experience. I didn't know why I went to the military at 18, but I now believe that it was truly because it's part of God's plan for my life.
Absolutely.
So,
well, we do appreciate it and thank you for your service.
thank you.
Let's come back home now to LaGrange.
Okay.
You grew up here, you moved away at the age of 3. You came back and graduated from LaGrange High.
Yes.
And in 2005, in 2000, I guess 4, in that long, you started campaigning, no doubt thinking about running for council.
Nope, not at all.
Didn't even do it.
Not
Okay.
at all.
Talk us about
No.
that for if you don't mind.
Back to my teen years, when Commissioner Richard English was first elected, I was one of those teenagers who always wanted to be involved in what was happening in the community. And I felt like my classmates and friends, they only knew as much as I did. So I hung out with the older people so I could learn something.
More. Okay.
And so Miss Eleanor Cox, she was indeed a wonderful lady. At the time, she was working at McGregor Street, Community Action for Improvement. And so I would go over and volunteer with her to help pass out the commodities, the food to the throughout the community. And she would always say, always use your voice, speak up, speak up. And so I give Miss Eleanor quite a bit of credit for helping to develop me or helping me to become the woman that I am. And so fast forward to 2005, I had gone into work one day and I get a phone call. Daddy want to know, do you want to run for city council?
I know that voice.
It was Gwen Ware Redwine. Speaking of former councilman Reverend Ware,
Yes.
J.R. Ware. And so said at that time that current council member, Mr. Frank Cox, had decided he was not going to seek re-election, and they were trying to find someone. And later on, Mr. Cox changed his mind and decided to seek re-election. But by that time, I had said a prayer and had that encounter with God, who said, if ever you're going to do it, now's the time. And so there was no planning, no thoughts of running for office. I had always campaigned or helped with others' campaigns. Former Representative Carl Von Epps, when he was running for county commission at the time, I helped as a teenager, helped with his campaign, and so many others over the years, whether here in LaGrange or wherever I was at the time. I helped to campaign.
I know there was an article in a newspaper, I think it was back in 2005, where it's pictured, you got former council member George Moore,
Yes.
I think Mr. Good Lord.
Frank Cox?
Frank Cox and Mr. English was
yes.
all there. Talk
Yes.
about that a little bit and how mentioned about Ms. Cox, how they helped pave the way for you to make that decision.
Oh my
too.
goodness. When growing up and even as an adult, when I did move back to LaGrange, I came back to attend LaGrange College and got involved with Mr. Cox, Frank Cox. He would host the Eggs and Issues.
That's right.
Each quarter, and it was then held over at the Alpha Multipurpose Center. Downstairs, we would meet there early in the morning and discuss things that were going on in the community. And we would gather sometimes because Mr. Cox would do the Christmas tree lighting down at Union Street Park, what is now Frank Cox Union Street Park.
Right.
He would prepare for that, and so we would help with all of that. So both Mr. and Mrs. Cox played key roles in my adulthood.
Right.
And so that was quite interesting and always fun. But it got to a point where we would do some things like things still happen now. We talk quite a bit about the problems, but very few people offer suggestions on how to fix the problem or come up with a solution. So we still got to work on that, Alton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have people who gripe and complain all the time. about what's going on in the community, but they're not willing to step up and help fix the situations or work on improving the situations. So that was part of what I wanted to do. I always want to be a part of the solution and address the issues that are concern to the members of the community.
Very good.
So,
in a nutshell, in a 10-second
Yes.
close up, what was one of your most memorable moments as councilwoman for the city of LaGrange?
ooh, I've had so many. Working with Mr. Robert Tatum, who's a school board member, he always was involved on the national front, the local and state front. So he always taught me and encouraged me to get involved wherever, whether it was locally, nationally, or state level. And so by the grace of God, I was able to do that. Those are some of the fun spots. But one of the photos, my favorite photo is Mr. George Moore. He and his wife took me in once I was elected on council, and kind of got me introduced to parts of LaGrange that I had not been introduced to. So lots of exciting parts, but that photo was of us in 2007 when we were awarded the grant funds for the Sunshine for Kids campaign to replace a lot of old, outdated playground equipment in a lot of our local neighborhood parks where kids have been getting injured. And so we started a campaign to raise funds to replace a lot of that old equipment. So on that day, the city council members, myself, Council Member George Moore, and some of the county commissioners went out to the playground over in Thomastown, and to see Mr. Moore get on a seesaw and have his big cowboy hat on, that was quite interesting for me and quite a fun memory, because Mr. Moore was always so proper and so respectful.
Absolutely.
So, but I could talk on forever. But I thank you, Alton, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
I thank the community. I think again, District 2, Councilman Edmondson and LaGrange. They will forever be my partners in crime. We have to keep each other lifted in prayer always. And so I thank you for sharing my experience.
Well, it is a pleasure and indeed an honor to sit down with such a mover and a shaker here in our community by becoming the first African-American female to serve on the LaGrange City Council. So for you, not only for your years of service for that in that role, but also for your military service, we do say thank you very much, Norma. And I'm very glad that you're my guest on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment.
Thank you.
All the time, get somebody something quick.
I know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you can just sit tight.